Hello and welcome to another week of energy readings. Let's have a look at the overall energy for the upcoming week. Just want to shuffle my cards. I'm going to choose around 3 cards and just see what we got. Very interesting, because this week you have to be or ought to be proactive. What you have is journaling, deserving and sensitivity. And what that means is this week you should actually have a diary or journal of sorts where you write down what it is you feel you want. And even if you feel, I want this big house, believe and trust that you would deserve a bigger house, or whatever it is you really feel should come to you. It doesn't have to be a thing, if that makes sense. You could also just ask for friends, jobs, all these kind of things. But it makes sense to put this in a journal. And sensitivity means is that you get used to the fact that you can actually ask the universe and ask the guides for whatever it is your heart desires. There's nothing wrong with that. And remember, when you write it, you're outwardly communicating the same way when you say it. And it's not a prayer as such, it's just an affirmation. And it's really, really, really powerful. So this week you ought to have a journal, right? And the other thing is, because we have sensitivity and journaling in the header, the week is going to be quite quick. So you will probably not feel the length of the days. You will feel like, oh, something's really happening this week. Because journaling means you're going through stuff. So the week should move quite quickly, which is quite good. And there's nothing really heavy here this week, right? And now we go into the individual star signs, beginning with Leo. Let's see what we got for Leo. Also drawn to 2 cards here. And you notice sometimes I share with you which cards I have, and sometimes I just forget it. Today here for the Leo you have the cow and the parrot. And this is about, which was actually in the header earlier, sensitivity. It's about understanding how sensitive you are, and that sensitivity cannot be switched off. So allow yourself to be soft, allow yourself to be in that space of kindness and be in that space of softness. And the parrot means that you had to learn to get to your kindness. So you have been around the block quite a bit and through the ringer, so to speak. And the idea is to understand, even though I had to fight for this place that you're in, this week you can be very sensitive and very, you can be firm, but you can also be or stay in your space of love. So anything that needs to be solved this week, solve it with the highest words and with the highest emotion, and not with anger or frustration. And also, do not rush it. It's quite important to not rush things. Right? So that's just the Leo. And then we have Virgo. The Virgo people this week, you see things coming. You have the red-tailed hawk, and the idea is that you see things coming from afar. And that doesn't mean you look out the window and you know your neighbors are coming on Wednesday. It just means that you know exactly something is a bit off here and something is around the corner. And this week the guides are asking you to actually trust this feeling, because the hawk uses the upthrust of the air to glide. So let things come to you this week. Don't chase anything. Things will come to you this week. So trust that. Right? And if things that you are expecting this week are not forthcoming, then it has to wait until next week. Don't chase anything. Just trust that. Okay? And now we're looking at Libra. Oops, one card fell out. And I'm going to take another one. Okay. This week, the Libra people, please watch your dreams. Very good if you had a dream journal. Write down what you do remember. You have the elk, which means anytime you have an animal with antlers, you're quite protected. So you can speak your truth. You are protected. And that just means that, when you have conversations with people, make your own view known. And it's perfectly fine that you do. And there's no repercussions if you do. And then the dream catcher here, really means that the guides will talk to you in your dreams, and you will get loads of really important messages in dreams. But it would be good to have a dream journal for this week. It's a good idea to have one anyway, just saying. Moving into Scorpio. See where we are. Okay, this week for you Scorpio guys, it's going to be a very adventurous week. There will be new things that you probably haven't done before, or new things coming your way. It could actually be challenging, where you go like, "Whoa, I have this new kind of job, and now they ask me to do A, B, and C, whatever, But you will manage, because you have the rabbit, which means, here's the rabbit hole, and we don't know how deep it goes. So, if you are faced with a challenge, see it not as a challenge, but see it as an opportunity. It's quite important. And also, this will aid you in your life. Because you have the screech owl, which is this being of being, really clever and seeing things around you. She actually can draw an auditory map to hear the mouse in the undergrowth. And what it really means in translation is you will probably be burdened with something that you feel like, well, I'm really burdened here, I have to do more work than last week, or there's more of whatever I need to do. But it will aid you in the long run, because this will actually be something that you can apply to other areas of your life at a later time, right? So that's that. Sagittarius. There seems to be a lot of going on this week with the written word. Here you have writers group and prosperity. So it is important, if you have anything that you need to get off your chest, to do it in writing. And prosperity means that when it is off your chest and you feel lighter, that's when you actually manifest prosperity. And prosperity could be translated into health and well-being. It doesn't have to be any kind of money or anything. But this week is important to write stuff, like, I'm really tired today, or I feel really great today. And also, it's really good this week to have a gratitude journal. Gratitude journal, I'm really grateful for. And then just write it down. It doesn't have to be a lot, but I guarantee you, if you would write one word on a piece of paper and put it into a jar, you will be surprised when you open that jar again after 6 months, how often you had moments of gratefulness for things that you probably wouldn't even see unless you really write it down consciously. And it's a nice thing to see that, nice things are around the corner, right? So, Capricorn. Interesting. We're going again into we're not necessarily going into writing, but we're going into art. And everybody is an artist, even the people that think like, oh, I don't know anything. Your words can be art for something. The way you move can be art to someone. The way you dress can be inspirational for someone. So art means also inspiration. And this week you should be sharing your art with the world, which is quite an important thing. And then also, this is a perfect week to start a new project. So anything that you feel, not necessarily just think that like, I put it off too long, but things where you go like, yeah, I'm gonna start a new project. Anything new is perfect this week, right? Okie dokie. Going into Aquarius. All right. So Aquarius people, this week is important to do things slowly and quietly and with consciousness. This week is not a week to rush things. This is the week to actually look at what you're doing with more in depth, and also understand, is what I'm doing still in line with what I want to do? So this is the week where you go like, well, I'm not so sure if this is still me. So it's assessment time. And it will be quite well. And what you need to allow this week is, when you come to a point where you go like, well, that's what I know, why would I change that? Allow yourself to detach from it, so that new things can find you. It's perfectly fine to start something next week that you haven't done ever or in years, and have the feeling, well, I can't do this well. Well, in time you will. So this is a week where you don't hold steadfast to, let's just say for argument's sake or for conversation's sake, you're someone who is an artist in drawings and you know by now how to draw well. Maybe it is perfect this week not to do anything with drawings, but use the colors, for instance, in a different form, or use clay or something a different type of art. And you might be surprised how nice this is. Okie doke. Pisces. I'm a Pisces, so I love that part. I know I'm getting a bit silly, but that's me. Here we go. See what we got from my kind. So you have the divine rogue and the woodpecker. The divine rogue is just a terminology, and it means that this week, us Pisces, we get away with stuff. We don't have to be too serious about things. We can say like, yeah, I'm going to do what you tell me, or I'm going to agree to this, but I'm going to do it on my terms. So things are lighthearted this week. And here's the trick: because your energy is lighthearted, you might be confronted this week with things that are actually quite difficult to do. But you have the woodpecker, and the woodpecker is an animal. Here's the tree, and the tree can be crooked, and the woodpecker still works it. So even it's because you are lighthearted, things that can be difficult will be much easier to manage, because you go like, well, whatever they bring me, I'll give it a go, which is the best energy to have, really, right? Aren't we Pisces glorious? Moving on to Aries. See what's in the cards for Aries. Okay, interesting. This week for the Aries people, it's important to be heard, right? If this is a week where people are not really paying attention to your contribution to their lives, or you're not paying attention to the contribution you make to your own life, this is the week to stop and say like, no, this week I will be heard. And the other thing is that this is a perfect week for you this week to study something new. Again, I see loads of writing. This is how my guides sometimes talk. I do the cards and then I get some imagery. And I have gotten loads of writing this week, not as an overall thing, but it came up quite a bit for different star signs. So this is a perfect week to put pen to paper and write down what bothers you. It's really, really important. So we're not necessarily talking about writing a novel or something, even though there's nothing wrong with writing a novel if you're so inclined. But it is important this week to really write down stuff. And you might be surprised how versatile you are when you do. Right? Taurus. Here we go. Looking for you, you were looking for me. So, Tauruses. I'm using animal cards here, and you have the ferret and the grey squirrel. So this week for the Tauruses, it's quite easy for you this week to be misunderstood. And it's important that you are very precise when you start talking and say like, well, this is exactly what I mean. So take your time when you speak. And it's also a week, again, writing, to make a list of how you would change things and write down stuff and go like, well, that's how I see this progressing. So again, it's really about listing ideas and then presenting them to whoever is in charge somewhere. And that makes sense. But remember, some people listen to misunderstand you. So you have to be more aware that this week you have to make yourself known and heard. Right? And then we have Gemini. And as I'm sitting here shuffling these cards, I get loads of Erasure songs in my head. And if I should falter, would you open your arms out to me? It's probably got nothing to do with the readings, just sometimes I get all these songs in my head, which is another interesting thing to do. If you ever feel, oh, you're not doing anything, you start humming a song, you get much lighter. And in lightness is the strength. Anyway, moving on to Gemini. You have the falcon and the wolf, which means you have two very strong animals. And again, this is about leadership. This is about not giving in. So when you need two animals, it follows that very likely the week will be a bit challenging. I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it's certainly challenging. I also get the feeling that for people who work in what's it called when people sell or let out places, lettings and stuff. There's a word for it.
Letting agents?
Yeah, so, you know, whoever works in this area, when there are new people coming into your work, they could try to outsmart you this week, right? They might be full of ideas and stuff. So don't feel that they're coming in to take something away from you. Just understand that this week you have to up your game a bit. So don't be complacent. If you're in a place where you're complacent, these new people will actually aid you in you finding the fun again, right? And it's just a separate image that I get for the people that work in lettings, right? So, and again, remember you have the wolf, so you don't do things alone, which is important because it's teamwork, which also makes sense to an office scenario or a group scenario. So be part of it. Allow yourself to really be part of it this week, okay? Here we go. And then lastly, we have Cancer. See what we got for the Cancerians. Right. This week, you have perfectionism and divine guidance. Really, it's self-explanatory in a way. Perfectionism is a man-made idea. I want to be perfect and flawless, and we are by default not perfect and flawless because we're growing at all times. We're still growing. We're learning at all times. So go easy on yourself this week. Don't go like, this needs to be done this certain way, and I want this to look exactly like this. Don't do anything tedious this week that is required to have a certain look or feel. Go easy. Don't try to be your best, but don't try to be perfect. Divine guidance means that you will know when you ought to pay more attention to things and thereby and thus get more perfect in it. Right? It's just an idea for you. If you should be a person that goes like, I want to do it as best I can, that's fine. But don't hit yourself over the head when it doesn't quite turn out that way. At least you did your best, and that's all anyone can really ask for. Right? And that's all we have for this week. I see you next week. Goodbye.